What is up, Togs? So big day today, the big announcements, the releases of the 2020 models for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And they had the dealer meeting this morning. Big shout out to Matt Laidlaw, who live streamed the meeting this morning, or the show. I have a lot to say about this, but instead of just going on and on, I actually toyed with the idea of maybe doing a live stream about this. But instead, I want to keep this concise and I want to keep this to the point. So I made a list and we're going to go over the 5 takeaways from the Harley-Davidson dealer meeting this morning about the 2020 models. Now, before I jump in, if at any time during this video you find yourself agreeing with what I have to say, or maybe you don't agree, but you still like what you're seeing, make sure you hit that thumbs up down there. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from myself, that one guy. Okay, let's jump right in. My first takeaway from the meeting is kind of an obscure thing, but at the same time it was important to me. Now, I wasn't there personally, but I watched Matt's stream and actually watched some of the stuff over again, and I couldn't help but notice that the lighting in there was terrible. And I know he talked about how maybe there was they were trying to set a mood or a tone, but what it came across as was maybe it felt a little unprepared. Now, I've been to a lot of car shows. I've seen a lot of car shows on YouTube and on the internet. And when you go to a car show, there's lights everywhere and there's lights shining on the cars. Same with if you go to a show that has lots of motorcycles. You're there to see the motorcycles and they're supposed to be there on display. But what it looked like to me was just like you were going into a Harley dealer where you've got the bikes on the floor and you can look at them. And if you're interested, you know, you can take a look at the price tag and things like that. It just seemed to me like there wasn't a whole lot of effort put into the display of the motorcycles, especially when there wasn't like this the meeting beforehand where they made big announcements and, you know, where they roll the bikes out on stage for everyone to look at. It just seemed off to me, and the lighting did not help. So that was the first thing that I thought of, and it really it just kind of set the tone for me for the rest of what I was watching. Now, the second thing that I took away from this was the Pan America. Now, if you're subscribed to the channel, you probably know that I'm a fan of The Simpsons. And what the Pan America looked like to me was the Homer. Now, if you watch The Simpsons, you know what the Homer is. It was an amalgamation of a bunch of ideas, and they just threw them together without any thought of design or without any thought of continuity of design. And that's what the Pan America looked like to me. They didn't even have the same paint color on the whole thing. I don't know if that was an intentional thing, but it just looked like they just threw the Pan America up on the stage and said, there you go, that's what we've got so far. Again, I'll go back to car shows. When you have a concept car on display, it's like the best of their ideas, right? It's like the future. And I didn't get that at all from the Pan America. The other thing that bothered me was they didn't have any specs for the bike. It just didn't seem like we were any further along with the Pan America than we were when they had announced it last year. So, I mean, I don't know. Also, it looks heavy and awkward and unwieldy. I know that adventure bikes, though I don't ride an adventure bike, I know that they usually weigh in around 500, 600 pounds. And this bike looked heavier. So the third thing I took away from the 2020 HD dealer meeting this morning was the Livewire. So the Livewire was announced last year as a bike that was supposed to be released for 2019. And here we are in 2019, and the Livewire is not at dealers. But guess what is at dealers right now? Or at least being rolled out right now are the 2020 models. So for me to see that the Livewire was a thing at the dealer show, you know, on display, the Livewire already isn't something that I know a lot of diehard Harley riders even care about. So the fact that it was part of this meeting and there was a display for it when this bike, first of all, should have been already released and available to buy, it makes me concerned, to say the least. So the fourth takeaway from the dealer meeting this morning is more of a summary of what I saw. And more so, it was a summary of what I didn't see. And again, I've owned 3 Harley-Davidsons. I am a fan of Harley-Davidson motorcycles. I wouldn't have watched the live stream this morning if I didn't care. but it seemed to be a lack of progress. Now, when I say that, it's because I see that they've taken away the CVO Road Glide. It's that they've taken away 3 or 4 versions of the Sportster. And along with the fact that they've taken away some of the Sportsters is the fact that the Street Series is still around. I won't call it a consensus because I actually have a friend who owns a Street Series bike and he loves it. And I actually have ridden the Street Series bike. To me, it just it didn't feel like a Harley. So we've got the continuation of the Street Series. You're taking away a bunch of Sportster models and you've added a bunch of new colors. Now, on a given year, yes, I think that this is fine. But in the year 2020, where a lot of companies, car companies, motorcycle companies, they're taking 2020, right? We're moving into the next decade as this leap forward. And to me, the lack of to-do and the lack of progress that seems to have been made going into 2020 was, to me, it was just disappointing. That's what I'll say about that. The other thing was going on their website today, because I wanted to look at all these things and read all the information that I could. Things were kind of buggy. The website was moving a little slow. When I was trying to look at the 360 view of some bikes, all of a sudden the bikes disappeared and I couldn't even look at the bikes, even though everything else seemed to be working okay. You know, I tried it in different browsers. I thought maybe it was user error. But no, it was just being buggy. And that made me think that maybe the reason why the Livewire isn't out and available at dealers is because there's an issue with the HD Connect. To me, the HD Connect feature on the Livewire was something that I was concerned about out the gate when they announced that they were doing this. Just because I know I'm on the Harley-Davidson website a lot, just checking things out and reading up on things, and their website is buggy. And the fact that they were going to release the Livewire with this new program, this new HD Connect app for the bike, it had me wondering if they were going to be able to execute on that. Just when you combine all these things together, to me, it's just concerning. And again, and I get these comments too on my videos that I'm just hating on them. I'm not hating on them at all. Again, if I hated Harley and I didn't care, I wouldn't take the time and I wouldn't spend the time to make this video, and I definitely wouldn't take the time to do my research. So on to the last thing, which is the biggest deal to me, and was something that I found out before the meeting even started. Number 5 is the return of the Lowrider S. Now, I say return of the Lowrider S because why we had the Lowrider S and the Dyna lineup taken away in the first place is a mystery to me. And the fact that they're bringing it back now shows me that they understood that taking it away in the first place was a problem. But the way that they're bringing it back now, I'm not a big fan. You know, when I saw pictures on my YouTube feed this morning, direct from the Harley YouTube channel, it looked cool, but you know, it's small on my phone and it's kind of backlit, so it just looks all black. But when we got a closer look at it at the show and reading up on it, to me, it's not enough for me. And this is coming, the Lowrider S, the Dyna Low Rider S, the FX DLS, is one of my favorite motorcycles of all time. So my standard is high already. So when I hear that they're going to release the new Lowrider S, I had high expectations to watching the stream this morning and watching Harley's ad this morning as well. Let me just go through these things in order because I don't want to go on and on about this. The first thing that I noticed was the tank. The tank is basically just the old Dyna, the regular Lowrider tank, that's kind of all blacked out. It's just the old Dyna Lowrider tank. And that was disappointing to me, mostly because the thing that, you know, the Lowrider S has the bar and shield badging on it. You can't really call the badging on the Softail Lowrider S retro because it's only been a few years since we've seen this tank on a regular Lowrider. So that was disappointing to start off with. And then going on down to the engine, it comes with a 114, which is definitely a step up from the typical 107 that you can find in the regular Lowrider. The difference for me is the fact that when the original Dyna Low Rider S was released, it had the 110 Screamin' Eagle Big Twin in it. It was tuned for better performance. It had the heavy breather intake on it. You know, it was something special. This time it seems like they're just throwing the 114, which again, the 114 is no slouch, but it's not special enough for me. You know, the Lowrider S was going to outperform, even though the 110 was in the Fat Boy S and the Slim S. They tuned it. It had the heavy breather on it so that you would get better performance out of the Lowrider S than you would out of the other S models of the same years. So it's just, to me, it's just not special enough. And again, this is coming from somebody who is just a huge fan of the FX DLS. And again, this is probably why, you know, when you set the bar really high, it's hard to impress. And the last thing that I'll say about the Lowrider S is the fact that it comes in silver too. Now, as a fan of the Dyna Low Rider S, I never heard anyone say, if only it came in silver. So to me, it was just something that seemed really unnecessary to release the Lowrider S in a different color. So overall, I'm just disappointed from the dealer meeting this morning. Was I hoping for more? Yes. Should I have expected more? Probably not. This is probably exactly what I should have expected. But at the same time, you know, when you're a fan of something, you like to keep up hope. It's kind of like being a fan of the Sacramento Kings. I'm from Northern California. My basketball team is the Sacramento Kings. And they've been terrible for a long time, but you have hope that they'll get better. You have hope that they will do things differently. And when they just keep doing the same thing and failing, it's really disappointing. This doesn't change the fact that, and I've said this before, that I will probably still own another Harley-Davidson in the future. It doesn't change the fact that I am still a fan of Harley-Davidson. I just want more. But guys, that's all I've got for you today. I'm sure you have something to say about this, and if you do, make sure you leave it in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, again, these are all just my opinions. So the nice thing about having an opinion is that it's never wrong. So make sure you leave your opinion down there in the comments so that we can have a nice, friendly, civil discussion. So guys, if you like this video, make sure that you hit the thumbs up down there, which is the like button. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Guys, if you're out there riding, be safe. And if you're not riding, get riding. I'm that one guy, and I am out.